So let's talk. Let's start with the issue that you've all identified. I do want to talk about the preschool education thing before we're done tonight. So don't let us escape without doing that.
I won't.
I figured you started talking about it, so I'm sure you're passionate about it. But let's talk about transportation first, because that has been identified in the newspaper by leadership of both parties as a critical issue. Let's start. Representative Dean, let's start with you, and let's talk about transportation. How do you see that issue unfolding? What are the flashpoints? It's really not fair to ask you what it's going to look like at the end, because that's the point of the process. But where do you see us going with that?
Well, I think people want a balanced package that addresses the needs of the state. Suburban can't be a suburban or metro versus greater Minnesota, as it oftentimes breaks down. But there's some common ground areas around rail safety. Just in my area, there's a short line railroad that connects a couple businesses in Hugo, Minnesota to the rest of the world. And they have difficulty reaching where they need to get to. They might have to move if they can't get their rail cars up. There's cars in southwest Minnesota that can't go over 5 miles an hour to get to the grain elevators. So, I mean, we've got real issues with safety, and we're talking about bringing sweet crude through the state at high speed. And so that's an area where I think that there's going to be some common ground and focus around that, and also around roads and bridges, and there's also going to be a bonding component to that. But I think that there's some real need for rail safety, I would say, would be the area of common ground.
Senator Hoffman, your thoughts?
As you were talking about transportation, it bodes right where Jim and I, our districts are right next to each other. But what we share is Highway 10, and along there is the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, and you can hear every 20 minutes those horns popping, and knowing that the train safety is an issue along there, it's important that we look at that. But we also have in Glencoe, you got the freight line that brings a lot of the produce from the western part of the state. The gentleman who runs, the president of that, actually lives in Champlin, and talks about the same thing you were just talking about. They can only go 15 miles an hour in certain sections of that track, and they're running all sorts of produce from the western part of our state that comes through the cities and onward to the east. So, yeah, absolutely. We need to have a deeper conversation on that, especially as we're seeing more and more rail traffic coming up. And we saw it firsthand, again, seeing when the oil trains were getting the precedence over the produce trains. You started seeing some produce sitting on the side that was not getting where it needed to be. So there's a logistics issue there. The other logistics issue comes into the way of John Pfeiffer, who's the fire chief in Coon Rapids. Jim knows him well. They had a car that was on fire, and it took 25 minutes for them to get to where that car was, because one train was blocking, and I believe it was Hanson Boulevard, that one that was blocking, because they had to call Dallas, Texas to dispatch to get that train to move. And so there's a logistics problem about getting information there quickly, but also what are we doing to assure that these trains aren't staging and cutting off 2 miles of access to roads?
Representative Murphy, transportation, your thoughts?
I want to preface it by saying that I agree with Matt Dean about the intensity right now of the electorate and of Minnesotans, and I think of Americans, right? You can really feel it in the race for the presidency. And so I hope that this legislature takes very seriously the mood of the people. And when I think about transportation, it is obvious that we have work to do there, that Minnesotans are expecting us to do it, and we should find a path forward. And the sticking point, of course, is how we pay for it. And there are, I think, Scott Dibble and Tim Kelly from Red Wing are working very hard to come forward with a solution that would be acceptable in terms of a sustainable funding source that doesn't rob the general fund completely, but allows us to move forward with something that is doable, that will go forward, that invests both in roads and bridges and transit. And only our politics will stop us from getting that done, and I sure hope that doesn't happen this session.
Senator Abler?
Yeah, we all agree on the what we'd like, but who will bell the cat? Who will find the money to do all this? I know something about finding money in the transportation arena and how that can affect one's past and future. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that there's an appetite for a gas tax now. In
In fact, we have
2000
a question from a viewer from Becker who says, I don't want a gas tax. I didn't mention that because it's not really a question, but
Yeah.
that's reflecting what you were just talking
But
about.
in 2007 and
Yes,
8, the bridge had fallen down tragically, and it got people's attention about bridges in particular. And we discovered that there were hundreds and hundreds of bridges that were deficient. And the money that came in 2008 fixed 172 bridges statewide and a little bit of roads. And then we bonded for a little bit, and then the money was gone. And so how are you going to pay for this? And frankly, neither party has been able to find a way to find a significant revenue stream. And so the discussion goes on and will continue probably even past this discussion. But I do think that maybe the general fund could kick in something. And I think as a policy idea that is it right that people who only drive cars should pay for the roads? And I don't think so. And so the gas tax is a declining source. You have people getting 40 miles a gallon that actually have some money, and then you have the people less means getting with 12 mile an hour or 12 mile a gallon cars that paying the higher amount, which is just never going to hold up, and it's not working. And so I am eager to hear how this all comes out. I'm glad I get to be at the table to watch. But we're all committed to finding a way to make sure our roads work. But it is going to be a really hard resolution to come, and I'll predict you'll have more shows on this topic.
I suspect yes, and more questions and more opportunity to talk about it, I bet. So, and hopefully it's not, as you suggest, Representative Dean, more admiration of the problem. So that's a statement we sometimes hear around our conference table at the court, attributed frequently to former Supreme Court member Rosalie Wall, who said, have we admired this problem enough now? So anyway.